On this interview, I've got Mr. David Reeves. David has done approximately $7,000 in premium over the last 2 weeks in our free lead program, selling final expense face-to-face with DeFord Insurance Group trainer Joe Bushalaki. And they are both here today to describe that process of getting started in the insurance business, working with us, and what steps David has put into place to be so successful so soon. So I'm going to call David in here now. David, how you doing today?
Doing fine. Thank you for having me.
Hey, yeah, thank you for being here. Appreciate it, man. Give us a little rundown about yourself, a brief minute overview of your career, how you got into final expense.
Well, I was working a job. It's kind of a long story, but I had worked for myself for years. I had done work from home programs, and I didn't like the direction of the industry, and I was burnt out on it. I thought, I'm going to go back to work, take a job, go back to work for somebody. I'm telling you, I was miserable. I worked after being on my own for years and then going back to work for somebody. And it didn't take me but maybe about the first 90 days or so that I realized that I've got to get out of here. I've got to find something that I can do where I can earn commissions. You go up to work for somebody, it's a set amount of pay. It doesn't matter how hard you work. In fact, the harder you work, the more they take advantage of it.
Yeah.
And so basically, I was looking for something, and one of my friends that I had known for years that actually I had recruited into a work from home program, probably going back around 12, 13 years ago, I found out that he had gone into insurance. And so I got to talking to him, and I knew immediately after I had several phone conversations, I said, that's it. I've got to get into insurance. I said, I can get out of this job and get into insurance. And so he hooked me up with his upline. And just like we talked about earlier, a lot of these people are recruiters. Okay. And so he told me, hey, Dave, he goes, I understand you want to get out of that job. And I said, listen, you just show me the way and I will be there. He said, I've got calls. I can put you taking calls. He says, if you decide to quit that job, he said, you can take calls. He said, we'll split commissions. And I did. I quit the job. And day one, I hadn't done anything at all. They gave me the script and I started taking calls. And I was splitting commissions. Now, this started back real close to about the 1st of November. So November and December, I was closing people over the phone. Now, there was little to no training. There really wasn't. There was just a script. The phone would ring. Whoever got the phone first got that lead. So I would go through and, the script. And I'd had some phone experience from the work from home days previous that I do believe helped me because I had no other training. And so I started closing people over the phone and splitting the commissions 50-50. Well, initially I thought, man, this is great. I mean, I was able to quit that job. I'm in the insurance, man. I got it made. Wrong. So I got a phone call probably right before Christmas time. And it was my upline manager. And hey, Dave, I need to talk to you for a while. I said, okay, well, what's going on? He says, now, I don't want you to get real nervous about this, but we're going to have to cut out that inbound call program. I said, really? He goes, yeah. He said, we're not making enough money on it. And he said, but I'm going to give you a bunch of leads. He says, and you can work these leads. He says, and he said, you'll be fine. I know you will. And so I started the new year working aged leads, no more inbound phone calls.
Okay.
So it was grinded out day after day on these aged leads. Now, by the end of February, now I was making sales with even the aged leads. And but I never heard hardly anything at all from them. I mean, I was literally, sometimes I felt like the loneliest person on planet Earth. I mean, just grinding away on the phone. And I saw one of your videos. I started watching your videos sometimes in the evening after I'd get off the phone. And I got kind of tickled because one of those videos you bring up in there, they said, you have to decide, what are you really cut out for, face-to-face or telesales?
Right.
Telesales, you've got certain challenges, and with face-to-face, you have certain challenges. But one of the things that you said, David, really hit a nerve. You said, now, if you're one of these people that's grinding away on the phone all day long, you might feel after a while like the walls are beginning to close in on
Oh
you.
yeah. Oh yeah.
And I mean, I said, that's it right there. So then I had to figure out, I thought, well, I don't have any money for leads. I was taking everything that I could make from these aged leads to keep the roof over my head and keep the light bill paid. Okay.
Right.
So, I mean, it was all going for that. There wasn't anything extra for leads. And so I knew that my insurance career was on the ropes, and I was about ready to land back working for the hated man again, or working for somebody out there again. And so I said, I've got to find a way to salvage it because I really like insurance, but I need the mechanism to do it. And when I was watching your thing, when I saw the career program, I said, that's it right there. And I looked at it and I watched the videos. I went through it. I even jumped on some of your calls. You may remember that. You know, you do those open mic Q&As.
Oh yeah. Yep.
Yeah, there was one of them that I jumped on there, and me and you were the only ones talking. Everybody
I think
else.
so. Yeah. I already remember that.
And so I applied for that and interviewed with Marty. I think it was mid-April. Oh, I forgot one important detail. I know I'm a little long-winded, but this is very, very crucial to the whole thing. This was the nail that sealed the coffin, as the old saying goes. Okay.
Right.
I had a telesales guy that I was in the process of closing, older fella. He had problems finding his bank account information. Okay. And so this was a pretty good deal too. I think it was close to about 1,800 AP. Okay. And he was qualified for day one coverage. So it wasn't a guaranteed issue. And he couldn't find this bank account information. He was getting real frustrated. And he goes, Dave, let me see if I can call the bank. Well, the bank's not going to tell you that information over the phone. Okay. So he got very frustrated and he went cold on me, and I lost that deal. And I needed that deal bad. Right. I mean, worst. And so anyway, I was very frustrated. Nothing seemed to be going right. And so I looked at this guy's address and realized that he lived on the other side of Dallas, okay, about an hour and 45 minutes away. And I said, go drive out there and see if you can't salvage that deal and spend 20, 25 bucks gas and risk it and go do it. And so I did. I got in the car and I drove out there. And when I drove up, I thought, man, I said, is this really the right place? I mean, there was cars up on jacks. There was,
I smell money, David. I smell money.
And so anyway, I thought, I remember thinking, I thought, well, now, if I don't ever come back out of this place, I said, they're never going to know what happened to me. And I thought, just get yourself in there. So I got out of the car and I went up there and beat on that door, and I beat on it 3 times and there was nothing going on. And I thought, well, should I beat again? And I thought, well, you come all this way, keep on beating. If there's nobody in there, who cares? You can beat it 10 times. Right. So I beat on it a 4th time. And I was after the 4th time, I said, okay, beat the 5th time. And if he don't answer in the 5th, there's nobody here and you just wasted a run. So I'm about ready to knock on the 5th time. And I hear the voice, who is it? And I said, Bobby, I said, it's David Reeves, your insurance agent. I said, I was in the area. I just want to stop in and say hi to you. He opens up. Oh, yeah, I see where you've been trying to call me on the phone, he says. He said, come on in. So I went in. That was my first time in. And I sat down. He didn't have a table to sit at. The table was completely jam-packed. You're laughing like you know where I'm at. And so the table was jam-packed with stuff. I sat on a little sofa and pulled out my laptop. And we got through this thing, worked it all out, got the deal approved right there on the couch, sealed it up. And I sat there for a few minutes. I mean, it was a sigh of relief. And I had these little refrigerator magnets. I gave him that, and he liked that. And I gave him a business card. And I left and I came all the way back. And that was the deal that sealed it right there. I said, now see, if that had been just telesales, I said, that'd have been it. I said, you would have lost it and that would have been it. And so sorry to go so long on you, but I hope this gives you a little.
Well, let's go down this route, because I think this is a really important, you hit on a very important topic that we try to solve for up front, from a standpoint of running a company. We want you to figure out before you start with us, because it's a waste of resources to do telesales, then to do face-to-face. Really need to sit down and think through what it is that you want out of this business, because some people are meant for one over another, right? And it's better to think through that than to figure it out, right? With your wasted time and resources too. So as you've gotten started with us, you've obviously trained with Joe. We'll bring Joe on in a minute to talk about the training process. You've sold face-to-face. What has it been like these first couple of weeks selling face-to-face as opposed to over the phone? Kind of just think of the new person who's brand new to all this. Describe the differences, the experience.
Well, it all depends on your personality. I think a lot of it does, or to a degree. The phone, it can be very impersonal. I think it can be, if you can't develop that rapport real quick, you've got very little room for error when you're on the phone. It's got to happen very quick. You got to be ready to jump in there. And I had no training. I mean, if I had Tim, I think is your telesales guy, if I had known any of that kind of stuff that he's teaching the telesales people, I would have probably done a lot better. But I managed to hang in there. And another thing about telesales, and I found this out very quickly, and I made some mistakes with it, and I lost some deals. It's funny because I could have really done a lot better with it. But here's the thing. It is so situational. When you catch them, if you can't close that entire deal right there for some reason, there's a good chance you're going to lose that deal. And I'll give you one quick example. I remember talking to a lady, and I used to always think this, but I let my guard down, and me and her, we went through the entire thing, and she was ready to do the policy. And I remember her saying at the very end, she says, well, David, she says, I want to get this application in with you. She said right away. She said, I'm checking out down here at the grocery store right now. And she said, as soon as I get home, as soon as I get home, she says, you call me back. And she says, we'll get this thing going. Okay. So about an hour and a half later, I called, never got hold of her. And over the course of several days, she had completely disappeared into the witness protection program.
That's right. She's gone, never to be talked to again.
So I called her. Well, I called her 2 weeks later. I called her from a different phone number. She picked right up. Okay. Yeah. Hey, I told her who I was and all that. And boy, you could just tell the difference. I mean,
yeah.
She says, hey, she says, I've already gotten a policy. And I said, really? Who's that with? She's, I'm driving right now. I don't have a chance to talk. Boom.
Yeah.
So she got to deal with me over the phone down at the grocery store, and then she shopped me and bought somewhere else. Or
she just lied to you.
Yeah.
I mean, who knows, right? And I think is the biggest thing about telesales. And I don't want to be pigeonholed as a exclusive face-to-face operation. We do both, and the people who are right for telesales do it very well. But it's really important because the trend now over the past couple of years has been with COVID, remote sales, remote anything, not going to an office. So anything telesales has way more interest. It gets way more clicks on YouTube, for example. But the reality is it's twice as hard, at least. And some people just don't have the personality, like David said, or they don't have the proper training. That's another thing, of course. But even with the proper training and the right personality, the close rates are much lower because of this stuff that is very hard to control for. And you just need to know going into it what you can expect, because and that's what I'd like you to talk about. Talk to us what it's been like selling face-to-face. I know you gave that for example is pretty descriptive of it, but talk to us about the sales process face-to-face with the leads that we've provided you as it compared to telesales.
Oh, it's my first full day in the field. Okay, which was Saturday. I'm looking at a calendar over here. It was Saturday the 13th. That was my first full day. And I got my first sale that first day. Now, I'll tell you something real funny real quick, and then I'm going to get into this. But 2 days before, I was supposed to go out that afternoon on Thursday. I had a family thing on Friday, and Joe already knew this. And I still laugh about this when I think about it. But so I knew I wasn't going to be able to go out in the field on Friday. We already knew this well in advance. And so I had maybe a half a day on Thursday. The leads started coming in. And I was so nervous. And I was very nervous. And I was trying to print everything out. And I got myself worked up. And for people watching this, don't forget this, okay? I got so worked up, I had a terrible headache. I hardly ever get a headache. I mean, I had a bad headache and I said, I can't go out in the field right now. I said, well, you've got to go out into the field. And I remember sitting down in a recliner and I turned everything off and got real quiet and just tried to relax. And finally, after about an hour, hour and a half, the headache went away. I didn't get out into the field till about 4:30 or 5 o'clock. I mean, I was only able to knock a couple of doors and, and it was too late and there's enough distance in there. So I didn't see anybody at all on that first evening, which was Thursday evening. And then Joe come back later. He goes, what took you so long to get out into the field Thursday? And I said, well, I was trying to get everything ready. He said, you were nervous, weren't you? I said, you better believe I was. But what's funny about that is it was completely gone by Saturday. Now, it's like I just had to get past it. And there's going to be people watching this. That first appointment, you're going to have the butterflies. And Saturday, I went by and it's like, okay, hey, everything dissolved and I was just fine. I got the first sale on Saturday. And I've had, I like the people that you help are really good people. They've had a lot of times they've had a hard knock in life. And sometimes it may be health wise. I mean, maybe this lady had a heart attack. My first sale, she had a heart attack and a stroke at the same time. And she was in the hospital and super nice lady. And Joe came back later and after he'd listened to the recording, he goes, I like the way you sold that guaranteed issue. He said, you made it sound good on the back end.
Well, it is. What else could she have gotten?
That's right.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's a blessing. You got to wait 2 years, but the truth is a lot of companies won't even take her, so.
Oh, sure.
All perspective. Yeah.
Yeah. And so, yeah, I started liking it. And so I went on from that time, the first batch of leads, I wrote 5 policies. Nice. And then I got a second batch of leads from Joe. And the second batch of leads, I managed to write another 5 policies. I've had again, my first full day was the 13th, which would be 2 weeks ago, Saturday. Yep. And so I've had 10 policies. And I looked at this, I wondered, because I haven't been paying attention to it, but on AP between all 3 carriers that I'm using right now, my AP on those 10 policies is $9,796.
That's really good. So average case size of basically $970. It's fantastic. That's really good. Nice job, David. Excellent, man. So I'm going to bring Joe in here. I'd like Joe's perspective. Joe, of course, is our one of our 2 face-to-face trainers. Joe specifically trains mostly our career-based agents, the ones who get free leads. We'll probably talk briefly about that in a moment. Joe, I'd like your kind of commentary on David. He's had great success here the first couple of weeks. There are some agents that we'll bring on that we mutually agree to fire pretty quickly because they don't have what it takes. Can you kind of describe in David's case, why he's been a good agent and what made him a student of the profession, to kind of just explain, what it takes to be successful and what David had to made it happen?
Yeah. And if I may, because there was a common denominator between David and Santiago. And this is the common denominator in successful agents, is that the first week of training, they are working hard studying these scripts. Like I could see it in their face. I can tell they're putting pressure on themselves. I can tell they got an edge and they want to make this stuff work. And that's like the first gauntlet is, are you going to treat this like a full-time job owning these scripts? And then the other, and just a willingness to learn, no kickback on anything, just ready to go. And then the big thing out in the field was they were both, and they're doing it still, is they are doing the activity. Like they are really both out there doing the activity. Like, amen. Like Santiago said, I think it was that first or second field day, he was in a home till 11 p.m. trying to hammer out the underwriting and all that. But David and Santiago are out there well into the evening, knocking on these doors, doing turning over every single stone and just getting it done. So they, on the front end, they worked hard learning the system, and then out in the field, kind of on the back end, like they do the activity, like the real activity it takes to be successful in this business. So yeah, those are the 2 big things that I've seen in both of them.
Yeah, and it's nothing. There's no magical You know, there's no like magic bullet or anything like that. I mean, granted, training, the right kind of training is magical, I think, but it's the execution of the fundamentals that lead up over time to the outsized results. You know, this is just the beginning. And assuming David and Santiago stick to the fundamentals and execute on the fundamentals every single day, that's what eventually separates you from the pack in life and in business. You know, is just, do you go to work to do what you should do? You know, a lot of people won't after a month or two because it's work. And they wonder why they don't get anywhere in life. So very good. David, I'm gonna call you in too. Can you talk a little bit? So you're in our career program. And again, we're filming two different videos. So this one will be a separate one from Santiago's. Can you explain how the career program works and what the benefits of the career program has been for you getting started?
Oh, yes. I wouldn't be here if it weren't for the career program, because I didn't have any funds to buy leads. And again, this was the path for me. What I found, first of all, Joe will make sure he'll hold your feet to the fire to make sure that you're successful if you want to be successful. And if you're applying and you don't have it within you and you're not trying to learn it, well, then you're not going to make it if you don't have it within you. Okay. So it's if you have a strong desire and you want a good program and you want good leads, every one of these leads, nearly every one of them, when I've gone up and talked to people, and you know, how many times, for those of you maybe who are with other insurance IMOs or whatever, how many times have you talked to somebody with your leads and they'll tell you, oh, I don't ever remember requesting any information. I don't know what you're talking about. Now, every now and then, I may have heard somebody that, and then, you know what, Mr. Jones, I see right here, your hobby's fishing. Said you put down that your hobby was, oh yeah, I remember that. Yeah, I did that the other day. These people, this is the real deal. They put their information in, they wanted to be contacted, and they put in specific points about who they wanted to be their beneficiary, all this type of thing. And so that's the type of thing that is missing with so many people, is you don't have quality leads. And we have them here. Every one of these are quality leads that you can go, and these people really did want the information. And then you've got the training. I've called Joe several times, kind of like Santiago was talking about. Just last Thursday, I was sitting at a table with a client, and he had, it was a kind of a deal that could go either way, and I wasn't sure about it, but he smoked 2 cigars a week. That's it. Never touched cigarettes. And I'm thinking in my mind, now, wait a minute. We have a carrier in the back of my mind. I said, we have a carrier that is forgiving about an occasional cigar. And I said, is it the one I'm looking at right now or what? And I picked up the phone and called, and Joe answered like literally on the first ring. And so he asked a couple of questions. He figured the situation out real quick. He knew I was at the table with the client. And he goes, Dave, because he's going to qualify level grade right there. And we wrote that policy. The guy was real happy that he didn't get penalized for smoking a couple of cigars. He said, I hate those cigarettes. I've never done a cigarette in my life. He said, I just poke on a cigar about once a week. And so it's that type of thing when the chips are down and the deal is on the line, you can pick that phone up right there in the field and talk to Joe. And a couple of times I'd call him up, and maybe I wasn't in front of somebody, and I'd tell him, oh, he said, you're not at a client's table. He said, I can act normal now. I said, you can act normal. I'm not sitting in front of a client right now. I just had a routine question for him. So, I mean, the support from Joe has been tremendous. And I highly recommend the Career Agent Program. The leads are great. The mentorship is great. The support, I mean, everything you need is right there. You just have to want to work to make it happen. And when he constructively offers criticism or ways to improve your presentation, learn to take that. He's trying to mold you in and make you even better so that you can close more deals. That's another piece of advice I could give people.
Yeah, thank you, David. And that's really the game changer is, you know, there are things that we know we should work on to fix, but there are a lot of things we don't know that we need to work on. And those are the things where a mentor or coach is going to identify. And those are incidentally the things that hold us back the longest. Joe and I have talked several times where had we had some of the stuff that we're implementing now with agents, the growth curve we could just visually see we would have accelerated faster, just by having somebody say, hey, why are you saying that? What do you mean? Oh, I don't know. We'll do this instead. Oh, okay. And then to see immediate results from that. That stuff is priceless. It makes an immediate impact. It increases your success rate. And to hit on a couple of things here before we wrap this interview up. Number one, for those of you watching out there, the career program is an 8-week fast track program, free leads. Commission is a little bit lower to start to accommodate for us purchasing you fresh and exclusive leads. At the end of 8 weeks, you're then moved to a broker program where you buy your own leads, but at more than double the commission. So it's a way to start you off without a lead expense, to allow you to learn the business, to accumulate money so that in 8 weeks you can buy your own leads, because that's where you ultimately want to be. That's what makes you the most money, not stuck at a lower contract permanently working leads. You're going to lose a lot if you're any good at this business. So you don't want to be there for any long stretch of time, in my personal opinion. But we also have broker programs where if you've got the money right now to start, really the career programs for those who have the desire, but not necessarily the cash on hand. The broker program is for those of you who have money, you're willing to invest, you've got your own money, you've got money you want to put into it on credit, whatever your deal is. You want to buy your own leads. The broker program is perfect for you. We have trainers for both face-to-face and telesales for that. I want to make it clear here, we're not just a face-to-face organization. We absolutely train agents to do telesales that want to do telesales. The difference about us and other organizations is with most other organizations, they're specialized in one or the other. And what they're going to tell you is telesales is the greatest or face-to-face is the greatest. They're inherently biased by the way that they operate. Us, on the other hand, all we want is you to be successful. But we know that some agents are better for telesales as others are better for face-to-face. And our goal initially is to figure out where you fit best. And then, so that way you get the best results, because there are plenty of people who are enamored by the idea of sitting at home in their underwear, taking calls or making calls, making money. That sounds really romantic, but have no business on the phone. They could, put people to sleep because they just don't have the performance capabilities, right? Just being real here. So we want to help you figure that stuff out. So that's one of the benefits working with us is we'll tell you, yeah, we think you're good for telesales. We'll tell you, no, I don't think we are. You probably are better for this instead. Do you get the same training whether you're a career broker? Absolutely, yeah. Now, who trains you is what's different. So Joe's responsible for for all of the career agents, for the broker. David Heath is excellent trainer. I've had him on some videos. I need to bring him back here. It's been a while. And then Tim handles the telesales. David handles the face-to-face. Tim handles the brokers for telesales. So it just depends on how you're going to sell, who you will be paired with. But I can assure you this, all of our trainers are fantastic, do an excellent job. They care deeply about their agent's success, and they're there to help them, just like Joe is, so is the rest of them. So David, thanks so much for being here, and Joe as well. And if you guys are interested, again, learning more about DeFord Insurance Group, just head over to davidduford.com/FAQ to learn more.